Good afternoon. Just doing a little Bitcoin update since I wasn't able to do one yesterday. Overall, from the weekend, yeah, a little bit of a breakdown, and now we're getting pretty good climbing back the upside to retest stuff. But we'll go through everything. So the weekend saw some really nice selling, some easy shorts with the breakdown Monday. We've got still quite a bit of local long liquidity right at 57K. So I think that if there's some downside, we actually start breaking back down. There's an interesting level getting up towards 60K because there's also a CME gap, like just under 60K. And there's a decent amount of short liquidity that was built up from the weekend move above that. So currently we're actually doing pretty decent. We're actually bullshit back testing previous levels, got some localized trend change back up. However, the higher time frame now, we need to regain lows that we lost from the weekend. Looking at a little bit higher time frame as far as the general liquidity in this area. So the big stuff really at 57K is still in place. There is some longs that have been built up back lower, but we are still looking pretty decent to potentially have a stab up to 61.5. After 61.5, it starts to locally start to thin out a little bit. So I would expect that if we break back above the local highs, we should be seeing 61.5, which is the major inflection point, basically gain that, and we're going back up to the highs. But locally, yeah, we had that breakdown. If we do start seeing some trend reversal here, I would target a loss of 57K, potentially down to 55, and then likely move down to 54 and some change, just because a retest of those lows is important. We do not want to break any new lows. Obviously, that's just the number one rule that we don't want to do. Looking at the long short ratio as well, pretty flat over the weekend. We saw a lot of longs stepping in as we moved down early Monday. So a lot of people stepping in along, really, really painful. And then obviously that started changing the last 4-hour periods. We saw quite a bit of people stepping back into shorts, trying to short into the highs. This is good. We want to see people continue to short as the price grinds up. It's not wildly more long than short like it was like previously, like last week or a week before. It was over 70%, I believe. But this is good. We want that trend to continue. That's, as long as that's happening, that means that the price has some fuel to go up. Looking over the funding rates as well, generally speaking, BitMEX and Binance, like on the USD pair, is still flashing pretty decent amounts of, short available. You could short into that pretty nicely. So it's neutral, not great, not terrible. But again, you've got upside priority. If these things started flipping very negative, we would probably see a quite strong move back to the upside. General economic calendar. So we got core retail sales and retail sales month on month. It's a little bit higher, but core retail sales is a little bit lower. So not the best, not the worst as far as the data comes in. The one thing everybody needs to be looking at is the FOMC interest rate decision. Now, investing.com is still showing a 25 basis point reduction. I know that the Democrats and the people in the US are really pushing for like 50 or 75 basis points. And we'll see. I think that if they start pulling off really, really fast, you'll just see more printing, more inflation, which wouldn't be the craziest thing. And they're going to be, especially this close to an election cycle, they're going to be pushing for rate cuts as heavy as they can possibly get them. But yeah, watch that. That's 18 UTC, 20 Central European tomorrow. That is going to be the big thing on the menu for sure. So that's noon Eastern time. Going over to Trading Light and some of the metrics. As far as the levels, heavy shorts, so around 61K, it's thinning out a little bit. If the local top is in, we want to see those kind of moved out. We had some long stepping in at 58K, which actually held. We actually held on the 4 hour as well, which is really nice. This is clean. It's good. That's, showing demand at these levels to push back higher. If we can start cracking back above 60K, 60.5, we're back in an upside trend. This kind of broke some stuff Monday, but it didn't generally lose the main important high time frame level. We just back tested it. So this looks good. We're getting some actually really bullish price action, especially from earlier this morning. So this looks strong for potential continuation. Open interest also growing, and some short licks starting to come in now as we push back the upside. So keep an eye on that. As far as the general movement where we can expect some pain, a lot of the shorts that were pushed in early morning Monday, these are all getting punished right now. We've got quite a bit still left above us. We're basically at like the inflection point for all of the major shorts that were coming in late Sunday. So there's definitely enough liquidity to the upside. The shorts were not significantly punished. There's definitely enough local stuff to take us higher. Watch for a reaction. If we get back up at those highs, there is a potential where we would do a reversal. We're clearing out some good parts in the book here as far as imbalances as well. The next level is really, I'm looking back towards 59.9, 60K. The reason is this is also the CME gap. But we've got really strong chugging upside price action, which is great. Markets are opening up in half an hour in the US. We just don't want to see any localized losses. If you lose 59K locally, you should probably come back and retest stuff. But for right now, it's got really strong uptrending price action going into what tomorrow, which is going to be absolutely nuts, I think, with all of the data coming out. So in any case, looking over at Trading View for general plan, I'll go through it. I know it's a lot. I'll turn these off for now. But major demand zones were coming in at, at this level here to hold price. So it looked like it broke it on the 1 hour. That's fine. The 4 hour looks strong. It's still holding. Charging back up now to gain and go higher. The CME gap is at 59.8K. Watch for a potential reversal here. Worst case scenario is actually we go here and it's a weak retest and then we start failing again to go lower. If another scenario that I haven't shown on the chart here is actually if we have that continuation move, go right to 61.5, clear out that liquidity that we talked about. And then we have serious breakdowns where we just, liquidity grab the upside in a strong wick. And then the 4 hour closes below previous highs. That's probably worst case scenario as far as I'm concerned. In the overall move here, I'm still expecting, a continuation. For it looked really rough yesterday. It looked like shorts and going lower. That held. We saw the reversal early this morning, which looked nice regain of level to continue. The failure now is very simple. The lows that we put in yesterday at 57.8K, if we fail those, we go to 57K. If we fail 57K, we're going back to 54K, 54.8. For the time being, we can break this locally, but it needs to be strongly regained. If we do create new lows after what we did last night, you could argue that the next impulse up will be a distribution and a failure to make a new high. But for right now, it looks strong going into the open. Watch for potential selling on the open. So if we do get that flush right back up into that CME gap and fill that now pre-market open, watch for that failure, especially if we break back down below the weekly open and the monthly open. So those levels are 59K and 59.2. So that's going to be the big thing. And then obviously, I guess tomorrow, the number one thing to keep an eye on, obviously, the federal interest rate decision. Extreme volatility is expected. Until that's kind of out of the way, then the tone is set for the rest of Q3, going into Q4 in just 2 weeks. Right now, it looks fine. It looks strong. And yeah, we'll see what the interest rate decisions give us tomorrow. Until then, take it easy, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.